Hey Wargamers, with the announcement of the new T'au Codex coming at LVO, there's been a lot of discussion about what is going to be in that book, including a lot of talk about the 8. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how the 8 are going to be implemented, and if so, what it's going to look like. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my upcoming uploads. Alright, so let's get into it. The 8 are a special unit of commanders and, well, one Riptide and one Broadside that were last detailed in this book, the most recent Farsight Enclaves supplement. And that unit is basically Commander Farsight's best buddies, his special retinue, and they have a unique set of war gear and some really interesting loadouts, not necessarily the most competitive loadouts, but interesting loadouts in this book. Now, the big question is, are we going to see the 8 in the new T'au Codex? And honestly, I think the answer is probably going to be no. The reason for that is because most of these models, in fact, all of them except for Farsight, are just generic rebranding of standard models. And I tend to think that Games Workshop isn't going to create new special characters or, continue these special characters in the T'au Codex without having them have unique models. So just having, a rebranded Crisis Suit or a rebranded Riptide as your special character in the 8 just doesn't seem consistent with the way Games Workshop has been approaching Codex design. So for that reason, I probably am not going to be very surprised if we don't see the 8 in the new Codex, but I hope they are there, just because they're a nice piece of fluff and story for Farsight Enclaves. They bring something different than you get with the standard Tau Empire book, and so having them there is nice. Now, if they are going to actually do that, if they're going to just basically rebrand standard commanders into these special characters, how might they do that? Well, one of the things that makes a lot of these characters special is that they have access to different signature systems that you might not otherwise have access to, and can bring those signature systems to bear in combination. Now, in 7th edition, really the best way to go was to take a commander and load him up with all your signature systems. In this upcoming codex, that's probably not going to be the way things work. They're probably not going to allow you to just take one commander and load him up with signature systems, which are essentially relics, and just have a field day with them like that. So I think the time of the buff commander is not going to be returning. And for that reason, there's a little bit of a complication when we're talking about the 8. If the 8 are bringing all these relics to bear, in a single detachment, that poses some challenges to the current design philosophy of Games Workshop. I don't see them just allowing us to bring so many different signature systems all at once, even though that has been historically how Tau have operated. Instead, I think there's going to be some sort of balance at either a reduction in the number of signature systems that the 8 bring if they do occur in the Codex, or they're going to have to nerf the ability of the commanders, which, again, remember, are characters, by binding them within a single unit. So something that we talk a lot about in regards to the Elder Codex is how crappy, how uncompetitive Warlock Enclaves are. The Warlocks are good independently. They have some strengths and weaknesses compared to things like Spirit Seers, but when you bind them together, they lose the character keyword, and that's a huge detriment to their ability to perform on the tabletop. And so if we were to do that with commanders and bind them together in a single unit, that would be a huge nerf to them. They'd basically just be super crisis suits, right? They wouldn't have the benefits of being a character anymore. And that might be a fair trade-off for bringing this more diverse set of relics or signature systems in a single unit. So maybe if we see the 8, we'll see them as a single unit, not as a collection of independent characters, but as a single unit that has access to multiple relics, and that would be the trade-off. Now, if that's the case, I don't see them being particularly competitive because they're going to be so easily targeted, but nonetheless, being able to bring them as a single unit would be interesting. There is a little bit of a complication again with that, though, in that we have Ovesa and Oblatai, which are not commanders. They're different models, and so we would normally see them be split out, but hey, maybe we'll see something different and allow the inclusion of a Riptide and a Broadside into this single unit. In the unlikely event that we get the 8 and they're just special characters that we have access to, I think they're going to be pretty popular. Being able to bring commanders today is obviously a winning strategy. Bringing lots of commanders is something that you see a lot. At LVO, Games Workshop did explicitly say they were going to be addressing commander spam. So, maybe these guys aren't going to be that cheap or points efficient because of that, but if you were to implement the 8 as a new suite of special characters in the standardized T'au Codex, we would get a Riptide with a character keyword, which really doesn't make a big difference because of its wounds, but having a Broadside with the character keyword could actually be pretty interesting. So being able to mix and match the character keyword with these different units could have some interesting tactical advantages, and if we see the 8 implemented in the new codex, that's really where their strength is going to lie, is being able to have a Riptide character, a Broadside character, things like that are going to be a lot more interesting. So yeah, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what the 8 might look like in the new codex. It's anyone's guess right now, so fill up the comment section with your wish list. All right, thanks for watching, and of course, happy wargaming. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank all my patrons over on Patreon. Your support really makes a difference for me, and I really appreciate it. Special thanks goes out to NoExcusesPanda, Paul Leuders, TauOswell, Andy Young, Peter Benjamin Parker, Deverson, and Giovanni DiMaggio. You guys rock, thank you. If you liked this video particularly well, head on over to Patreon and consider joining our community over there. Thanks as always, and happy wargaming.